I think I don't have very much to say after that very comprehensive delivery of corruption in the country. Okay, mine is going to be more focused on land issues, and I think it will complement what Professor Gomez did say. All right, this is a place we call this is Taman Sentosa. And this is a picture taken in April last year, when I'm standing there with a group of farmers trying to prevent the contractors from building a culvert over a drain to come in with their tractors to destroy the farms here. And these are farmers who've been there for about 8 years, 3 generations of farmers, mainly corn and some vegetables. And this land was sold by the PKNP to Matang Sands. It's a company. It was sold on the 2nd of March for 4.8 million, 48 acres. And Matang Sands, on the next day, sold this land to KM Majumina. That is a developer, housing developer in Ipoh, for 5.8 million. So Matang Sands made $1 million just by flipping the land in a day. And then 2 years later, we had this attempted eviction, which we managed to stop. We came in and we managed to stop them. And actually, we managed to find something called a CPC 99, which says you maintain the status quo until the issue of equity in the land is resolved. And that's when we got this data, because when we filed the CPC 99, the other side filed documents to show that the land was theirs and how they got the land. And these things came up. Now, what is interesting about this is the market value of this land, of 48 acres of land, quite near G4, is actually about $15 million. The land was under the control of PKNP, which is the SCTC for Perak. So here we have the SCTC monetizing its land assets. But how come it sold the land at 4.8 million? You know what's happening here? I mean, if you have the SCTC monetizing assets, maybe to make money to do other projects, but here it's selling it at about 1/3 the actual price. And you must remember that the SCTC, the PKNP, the chairperson is the Menteri Besar. The person who actually gave the land to PKNP is also the Menteri Besar. Menteri Besar controls land, is a state matter. So Menteri Besar gives lands to PKNP. PKNP then sells the land to a company at 1/3 the price. Then the company comes in and tries to evict the farmers. That's where we got involved. So this is interesting. What is happening? And Menteri Besar at that time, which sold the land cheaply to Matang Sands, is Faisal Azumu. He was a Menteri Besar at that point in time. Okay, so that's one example. The other example is, this guy is Tiang. He was a Datuk Tiang. That picture of him is in 2005 and he was released, was arrested and released. But this Tiang guy, he got 102 acres of land in Pusing in August 2017. And he was trying to evict about 20 farmers. Again, they called us in, we went, made police reports, got our lawyer friends, filed this CPC 99. Basically, it freezes that, it can't come in. And so Tiang, in his reply in the court, he filed documents which said that he was given the land. He was given the land in 2017, August. And when we checked the land office, there was a caveat, like 2 other businessmen who carried the land saying that they had paid 2.5 million as the one Pundahulan, which is a deposit for the land. Probably 10%, usually it's 10% you pay when you want to buy land. So that means he flipped it within 4 months for 25 million. So why would the state government, this one is under Zamri at the time, Why would the state government give 25 million worth of land to a developer from KL? I mean, we don't have actual proof it's corruption, there's any kickback, but what else makes of it? I mean, unless we can find that Tiang did something great for the state, he put a lot of houses below the market price and gave it for, or he did something for the Orang Asli, or did something for floods. If you can show me that, then I will say, okay, maybe Tiang did so much for the state, so the state is giving back something, or KM Manjupina. But if you can't show me that, then the thing that seems quite inescapable is there's some money being kicked back to the state government. That's what we thought, Yeah, so this is the question: what has he done to legitimize such a huge gift? And don't forget, these are farmers who are producing food for the country who have been kicked out. So we said, okay, so we took both these cases, the KM Manjubina, as well as this Tiang holding thing, with the SPRM April last year, about a year ago. And all those documents that show that what I just said, we have all that in documentary form. And silence. We sent 3 letters to them and they just quiet, we're not answering. Are they looking into it? What have they found? Are they going to charge? Nothing. So I think what Professor Gomez said about SPRM being under the executive plays a role. If the person being investigated is required, the executive needs that person to stay in power. It's part of the political setup. Then I think they dampen it down. So happen, So okay, so we have got now PSM in Perak, we've got about 14 areas where farmers are being evicted. And there are other cases like this, where you can find things are very questionable. I'm not going to go into each of them. I want to go into the issue is, what is the impact of this on the economy of the nation? And there are basically 3 things, One is the impact on the farmers. Because these are second generation, third generation farmers who've been farming this land. This is their skill, this is their knowledge. Many of them have don't have much formal education, but they are very good in what they're doing. This is a survey done by the PKNP. The PKNP has also issued notices against 130 farmers in Kelantan, trying to get them out so they can use the land for industrial development. So they did a survey. PKNP itself did a survey of the land sizes of these farmers. And you can see that about 56% of these farmers had less than 5 acres. About 91% of the farmers had land farms less than 10 acres. So these are not big haciendas like in the Philippines or Latin America. These are small farmers. Yeah, B40 and 40 kind of people. So these farmers are being pushed up. So that's a major problem. You have a group of not so rich people who are going to make poor. The second issue is the local economy is going to be affected adversely. If you look at you have the farms, and these farmers have inputs, right? They have inputs in seeds, input in fertilizer, the pipes, the pumps, the generators, the spraying equipment, and all this also, you also have workers in all these, the farms and the suppliers. And you have the people, the wholesalers who buy from them, the lorry drivers, the lorries, the shops. So it's a whole economy that is quite sustainable. I mean, this is food. So it's going to go on. And the people working, the business people as well as the workers are going to earn money, they will spend money in that local area, at the small stalls, in the small businesses, in the pasar malams. So you have a whole local economy that's going to get stunted. And the basis of it is the farms. And the farms get destroyed. All these categories, the suppliers for the farm, the people who buy from the farms, the whole ecosystem there is going to get completely damaged. And those workers will have to come to KL or to Singapore or to Johor to look for work. And you're going to have only older people staying there because the younger people have to move out. So you're destroying local economies. because it's destroying the aggregate demand at that place, you see. But I think probably most important is we are really shooting ourselves in the foot as far as food security is concerned. At this point in time, the 14 areas in Perak which are being, affected like this, and probably for wrong reasons, because politicians want to make money fast, and they're destroying food security. If you look at Malaysia now, we are importing 60 billion. Last year was 60 billion of food. And we're only producing about half the food we need. We're not producing enough. And we're destroying our capacity. It's not only the farmlands, it's also the technology and the knowledge. Because these farmers are the product of 3 generations of experience handling Malaysian soil, the weather, and you see a lot of the farmers, they'll tell you, I've told my children not to become farmers. Because it's a thankless job, it's difficult, you're not appreciated, we're being pushed out. So many of the children have gone out to work in towns. So we kill this layer, we finish off this layer of farmers, we lose a very important skill. In fact, in Perak, we actually complained about this. We brought the farmers when we had a meeting with the Ministry of Agriculture and said, look, this is terrible. So the Ministry of Agriculture actually questioned the state government. And the state government came out with a reply that they've got these 6 Taman Kekal Pengeluaran Makanan in Perak, 6 areas where they've given hectares of land to people to grow crops or grow food. And so we went and visited these areas. Only 20% of the farms there are functioning. 80%, they can't manage it, Or they start off with the grants given by the government. Once the grants are not, they close shop. It was not easy. The margins are small. And you've got to be efficient farmers to make money. Because all these vegetable farmers are there without subsidies. We get nothing from the government. They tell us we don't need anything. Just let us have leases with the land. Don't kick us out. We can continue. But we kick them out and then we try and give land to other people and say, do farming. It's not easy. So I think this is a real danger that we are facing. That we're going to destroy a group of people and the farms that are so important for the nation. We need to sustain these things. We are asking the state government to make all these farming areas, producing vegetables, permanent farming areas. We're not asking for grants because the farmer, when he gets old, can sell off the grant to a developer. We say, don't give grants. Give them leases, 20-year leases. At the end of it, either the fellow continues, or take it back and give it to another person, another farmer. Make it permanent farming areas. But the state government hasn't yet responded. So if you look at this looks at the land in Malaysia. The bar on top, the horizontal bar, represents 33 million hectares of land. 33 million is the total land area. About 55% the government says is hutan. But they consider even hutan that has been logged as hutan. As long as it's still gazetted as hutan, it is still hutan. We don't have any trees left in it, but it's still hutan. And also you replant rubber, on it is also still considered hutan. But anyway, 55% is still gazetted as hutan. About 24% is pertanian, 8 million hectares. And of these 8 million hectares, 7 million hectares is cash crops for export. Oil palm, 7 million, and then rubber. 0.7 million hectares is paddy. Only 0.4 million hectares is vegetable, fruits, fish farms and all that. It's very small. 5% of agricultural land is for food for the Malaysian population. More than that. 0.7 hectares is from paddy. But this small amount of land is also being threatened now, all over the country. So this is, I think, this basically shows when politicians who are in charge of the land, who have the power over land, are making decisions for the wrong reasons, making decisions looking at their political funding, making decisions based on kickbacks from developers. Important issues like how we use land in Malaysia, how we look after food security, how we look for the future of the country in this time of climate change and geopolitical uncertainty where we need to have food security. All these important issues don't seem to be taken into consideration, and politicians go ahead and squander a resource that really should be preserved. So I think that's probably the biggest adverse economic effect that we are facing. Now to my last slide. Looking at the causes of it, these are the causes of it. On one side, you have the politicians who actually need money. So we need to have a kind of political funding act. I mean, in the PSM, we are saying that there should be public funding of the political parties. We give them money. We are suggesting we should give them something like the 20 million voters, you times it by 10, 200 million per year to all the political parties in a manner that is fair to the political parties. We can discuss that later. But then once you give that, we've got to tighten up money coming in from businesses, because that actually gets into the way of proper functioning of the country. That's very important, look into the whole issue of politicians. We're going to look at the business people. I mean, for example, there's this LBS Bina group, huge property group in KL. They have come and grabbed 250 acres of farmland in Changkat Kindi. They're now in the process of evicting the farmers. Don't tell me LBS Bina didn't know there were farmers there, or they don't know there's a problem of food security. They're prepared to come in, pay whatever money under the table they need to pay, and evict farmers. I think the Malaysian public should speak up against this. And actually we are calling for a boycott. Don't buy houses from LBS Bina Group. Don't buy houses from Lim Yung Yin Land. Don't. Say, because you should know better than to go and help these politicians, or actually induce them for a payment under the table to evict these farmers. You should know better. And if you're doing this thing, you should say, I'm not buying houses. So I think it's important we come across that way, because we can't say it's only the politicians. I mean, who's paying them the under-table money? It's people who should know better. So in fact, we took the farmers who are being evicted in Changkat Kindi and went to see this LBS group. And we told them, look, there's food shortage now in the country. Why don't you give us leases? Hold off your housing project for 10 years. Give us leases for 10 years. We'll pay you rent, monthly or yearly, but give us 10 years of leases. They didn't get back to us, and they're now evicting people. So I think, this brings us down to the system of laws in the country. The problem is, land is a state issue, and right now, the Menteri Besar is the one who decides, and there is no check and balance mechanism. He and the EXCO and the PTG just give out land, and the whole issue is opaque, no one knows about it. So we are saying we should actually change the law a little bit, bring in a monitoring board, a supervisory pemantauan, to monitor, to oversee, so that in all land that has been alienated, let's say go to this board, and if there are farmers there producing food for the country, then this board can actually veto the Menteri Besar's decision. And the MV to kind of bring it back has got to then present a paper at the State Assembly to undo this veto and say this is the reason why I'm kicking out this 30 farmers from this 100 acres of land, because this project is so important for the state, and can you all vote on it? To make it more transparent. So this can be done, it should be done. So I think we've got to create some transparency in the whole process. So laws have to be changed. And I think people have got to understand. I think the general public don't really look at it. They say, oh, it's development, what can be done? Poor fellows. Anyway, they've been there, using the land free of charge. Many of these farmers have applied. They've applied in the 80s, in the 90s, and they were turned down. They're not given. If they apply for TOL or for grants, they get no reply. No yes, no no, they aren't asked to move out. Just carry on. Then sometime the fellow comes to the ground and says, no, the land is mine, you get out. So people, I think, the general public are about to see that this is not the issue just of a group of poor farmers, but it affects us and the future generations because food is being affected. Food production is affected. And we've got to take this seriously. So okay, I'll end here now. Thank you.